Good day. My name is Adam Wells, and I have a message for anybody who, like me, is concerned about the future of this nation. Our national security is at stake. The very survival of this nation is at stake, and it's directly tied to education. Let me explain. I am a student of history and a former history teacher. In my studies, I have found this. Most of the world's greatest, most powerful nations all had great economies and great militaries. They didn't just magically attain their power. Rather, their power came from being ahead of other nations in terms of science. Science aided them in agriculture and/or industry. Science allowed them to develop deadlier weapons. These deadly weapons allowed them to be victorious in war. And their victories in war allowed them to exploit those who lost. So if we continue to fall behind other nations in the education of our children, we will fall behind in science. We will fall behind economically. We will fall behind militarily. And when that happens, we'll be in trouble. We'll be in trouble because China is gaining on us economically. China is gaining on us militarily. They are already a nation of over 1 billion people, while we are a nation of only 300 million. The only things that keep us as the dominant nation on earth is our economy and our military. But if we continue to undereducate children because of what neighborhood they grew up in, that won't last much longer. If we continue to underserve children because of the color of their skin, that won't last much longer. If we continue to bore and fail to inspire children from all backgrounds, that won't last much longer. But it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to fall off. We can fix this. We can fix this by doing the following. We must guarantee all teachers a base pay of $100,000. And we must allow high school students to declare a major just like they do in college. Now, before I go any further, let me explain who I am for those who may not know me. I was a teacher and coach here in my home state of Mississippi for 10 years. Which is great since one study showed that between 40 to 50% of teachers leave the classroom within their first 5 years. I taught 2 years in the Catholic school system. I taught 8 years in the public school system, all in Title I high schools. During my time in those high schools, I earned the Teacher of the Year award 3 times from 3 different administrators, and my students achieved good test scores. I've been a mentor. I've been a part of state championship winning teams. I've been in a principal's meeting as an administrative intern. I've been an educational consultant. My mother taught for 40 years. My sister is a professor and doctoral candidate at Jackson State University. My father-in-law was the president of the Superintendents Association right here in my state. Now, I don't say all that to brag. There are countless wonderful teachers throughout this nation. Instead, I say all of that to let y'all know I know what the hell I'm talking about. We need revolutionary change. We need it. We must have it. Now, we're in campaign season, and I see the presidential candidates pay lip service to what needs to be done to fix our educational system. I heard one candidate say that they want to make sure that all teachers make at least $65,000. I heard multiple candidates be less specific and simply say that they want to increase funding for education. In my state of Mississippi, they recently voted to increase teacher pay by $1,000. Well, I'm here to say, as a former teacher, this is all a farce. It's all lip service. It's all a Band-Aid on a gigantic wound. We need revolutionary change to save our educational system, to save our children, and to ultimately save our nation. The first change has to start with teacher pay. When they want to attract top-notch talent in any other industry in this country, they offer top dollar. Whether it's a corporate CEO, a tech whiz kid, or a top free agent in the NBA, if you want them, you pay them, except for teachers. Well, let me describe to you the type of person we need in the classroom, and you tell me if this type of person doesn't deserve top dollar. You need someone who is knowledgeable. You need someone who knows their subject matter backwards and forwards. And if there comes a time that they don't know something, they must have a willingness to go seek out the information. You need someone who is brilliant. This person knows how to think. This person is imaginative and creative. This person doesn't just know the subject matter. Rather, this person comes up with innovative ways of delivering the content to the students. You need someone who's compassionate. Someone who not only sympathizes with the children, but also empathizes with them. Someone who really tries to understand what these kids are going through. Someone who doesn't simply respond to their behavior, but instead tries to figure out what drives that behavior. You need someone who offers inspiration. You need someone who can offer these children some kind of hope just to make it through some of their days, let alone high school. A good teacher is one of the most influential people in a community. That's because a good teacher offers inspiration. A good teacher offers hope to the hopeless. A good teacher often fills in for the absent or neglected parent. A good teacher often fills in for the hypocritical or unresponsive preacher. A good teacher often fills in for those who ignore the troubled young mind. You need someone who is courageous. That's right. It takes courage to be a teacher. Public speaking is one of the greatest fears of human beings. Imagine having to talk in front of people every day for over 180 days. Now, imagine having to break up fights. Now, imagine being sexually harassed. Now, imagine having your property stolen or vandalized. Now, imagine having to undergo training on what to do in case of a mass shooting that your school is ill prepared for. Now, imagine doing all of this while being grossly underpaid compared to other professionals with similar educational attainment and job importance. You can't tell me that the person I just described doesn't deserve to be properly compensated. And these people exist, but these people make all A's and B's in college. These people are self-motivated. These people wouldn't need their principal to order professional development because they are always developing themselves. But these people also want to be properly compensated, and I do not blame them. Now, why $100,000? Well, first of all, it's an attractive number. It's six figures. It gets people's attention when they are deciding what they want to do with their lives. Furthermore, the median income in America is somewhere between $60,000 and $65,000. Let me give you an example of how underpaid teachers are. In my state of Mississippi, for a teacher, not a teacher slash coach slash administrator, etc. I'm talking a teacher, which is important enough. But for a teacher to make $60,000, that teacher would have to have a doctorate degree and teach at least 25 years. You can look it up. Imagine having all of that education, all those years of experience, and all of that student loan debt. And you have people with bachelor's degrees and less important lines of work making more money than you. Again, we need revolutionary change. So how we pay for it? Because I know there's somebody out there wondering how we're going to pay for this. Cool. Couple options. First of all, since this is a national security concern, we could easily appropriate some of the money from the defense budget to cover the raise in teachers' pay. Based on my studies, the U.S. defense budget is well over $700 billion. One thing about these nations is this: we will spend on defense. It's time for us to start to view the education of our citizens as a part of our defense. Another way of paying for it is this: we could allow the private sector to sponsor schools and advertise in schools. If Nike can sponsor these millionaire basketball and football coaches, they can sponsor teachers. Good teachers are amongst the most popular and most influential people in a community. Teachers have the attention of young people every day for half the year. These things would make teachers terrific brand ambassadors. Company sales would increase and/or their brands would receive much needed positive publicity. And teachers will receive the pay increases that they desperately need. Now, I'm sure that critics may say that teachers don't deserve this pay. They will say that if teachers want more money, then they should choose a line of work in which they don't have weekends and holidays off. Well, first of all, a good teacher scoffs at that notion. Good teachers plan on the weekends and holidays. Good teachers often grade papers over their so-called breaks. Good teachers are constantly engaging in their own professional development. For example, when I was in the classroom, and my wife can attest to this, on the weekends, during holidays, and during the summer, I was constantly reading. I was constantly watching documentaries on DVD, YouTube, and Netflix. I was constantly trying to get better so I could do my best to help my students be their best. Other good teachers do the same. Furthermore, it's misleading to think that teachers really get paid for having summers off. Early in my career, I didn't get paid across the summer. Rather, I had to make sure that I budgeted my money effectively to make it through the summer. When I moved to the public school system, I learned that the state withholds some of your pay during the course of the school year so they could pay you during the summer. In this regard, the state simply budgets your money for you. However, many people believe that teachers are just getting free checks across the summer. I wish. This is far from the truth. There will also be detractors who say that we don't need to commercialize public schools. They will say that it will damage the integrity of our institutions. While I understand their concerns, I also know that one, businesses are already heavily involved in the educational system when it comes to sports, as I alluded to earlier. And two, it is imperative that we do whatever is necessary to increase teachers' pay. Now, along with paying teachers $100 grand, we must also alter our system. Students should be able to declare a major in the 9th grade. As I said previously, our colleges and universities are still the best in the world, while our K-12 system is struggling. Part of the reason for this is that in college, students have the autonomy to choose their path. In high school, students feel forced into taking classes that do not match their passions and their futures. Based on my experience as a high school teacher, students strongly dislike classes that require skills that they don't naturally have and involve subject matter that they find no interest in. And I don't blame them. To all the adults who are viewing this, think about yourself. Think about the classes that you hated. Think about the classes that you had low scores in, even though you were trying, but you just couldn't get over the hump because the classes didn't match your skills and your interests. Even now, as a mature adult, you would struggle if you were forced by law to attend anything that you were disinterested in. Some of you may mention your job and that you gotta do what you gotta do, but no one forced you to have that particular job. Like these kids are forced to take these classes by law. Furthermore, in my experience, the students who tend to misbehave in class are those who are disinterested in the subject matter that's being presented to them, that they're being forced to consume. Now, while we hope that all of our children are respectful and attentive no matter what, this is simply not the case in classrooms. Again, it's hard to blame kids in many instances. Adults, imagine you're watching a movie with your spouse that they love, but you couldn't care less about. You'll be hard pressed to pay attention. You'll be prone to text during the movie. Your mind might go to wandering. You might even be upset that your spouse made you watch the movie, just as kids are often upset they have to sit in classes that they know won't tie into the path that they're on in life. When it comes to this point, those who disagree will say that kids don't know who they are by the 9th grade, but I beg to differ. Ask the children. They'll tell you. Most of them know the classes that come easy to them. Most of them know what path they're on. And if they don't, it's okay. They should not be left alone in this decision. Teachers, administrators, and counselors should help guide the kids toward the right major. Other skeptics may say that high school students need to be well-rounded. Well, this is my reply to that. I believe that we adults want all kids to be well-rounded, but this is not a need for their success in life. To have a successful career, most people need to know how to do one thing very well. One. We must help our students figure out what that one thing is that they are both passionate about and good at, and then help them cultivate that skill. One of my mentors and the first principal I worked with, Miss Felicia Jackson, is currently an administrator abroad in Africa. She stated that, and I quote, Nigerian students declare their majors in the 10th grade, and they just happen to be the ethnic group with the highest number of advanced degrees in the United States. This can work. But those who can't decide what they like to do, or those who like to be well-rounded, they can choose the traditional path that we currently use. It will be the equivalent of a general studies degree in college. For those lawmakers who champion accountability based on exit exams, fine. Make students take a test to graduate based on the major that they choose. For those that choose the general studies path, allow them to take the test that they feel most confident about. In the current format, we have students that are not graduating from high school due to assessments that have nothing to do with the rest of their lives. This must change. It is my sincere hope that the people of this nation truly take the time to think about what I've said. Don't just react. Really think about these suggestions I've made. Talk to the people on the front lines of education, teachers and students. I do believe that the overwhelming majority of them will agree with me about the need to pay teachers at least $100,000 and allow students to declare a major in the 9th grade. If you have a better way of implementing these changes, go right ahead. However, as someone who has been in the trenches with children, I say again, we need revolutionary change. Our future depends on us fixing our educational system. Our national security depends on us fixing our educational system. And therefore, our lives depend on it. Thank you. God bless you. One.